welcome to Gold Mines. In this podcast, I'll be speaking with extraordinary people to uncover stories behind their golden moment. Every episode is packed with inspiration and unforgettable stories. Follow us now and you'll be the first to know when episodes drop. Today's guest is one of the most respected leaders in English football. She captained club and country, lifted trophies at Wembley, earned over 120 caps for England. Now off the pitch, whilst working as a TV pundit, podcaster, she's facing one of the toughest fights in her personal life, as her husband was diagnosed with motor neuron disease, but she's tackling this with the same courage and purpose she showed on the field. Steph Houghton, it's a pleasure to have you on Gold Mines. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
If you want more real, inspiring stories to guide you through life's toughest moments, make sure to follow Gold Mines wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us and be part of this real conversation. You won't want to miss it. Oh, it's a pleasure. Now, this is the first time we've met, so I'm really excited.
I think we met before, though,
Have we?
Not me. I think I probably had a picture with you at 2012, but you probably had about 20 million people that wanted the same picture. So I think
because that was like our journey, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We were both like, our careers were kind of parallel for a long time. But do you know what? I'm really excited to chat to you about. Obviously, I've followed your career and I've seen all you've achieved, but to get into your career a bit more, but also you off the pitch as well. And you know, you've been a fantastic leader throughout the whole of your career. And now you're in a different phase where you're leading in a different way, I suppose, with your husband and the Derby Rimmer MND Foundation charity. Could you just tell me a little bit about the charity and your husband's diagnosis?
Yeah, so my husband, Stephen, got diagnosed with motor neuron disease in 2018. He was a professional footballer as well. He played for the likes of Liverpool, Bradford, Bolton, and he showed a few signs and symptoms of the disease, and until we got that kind of definite prognosis, it was carry on as normal. But obviously, when you get hit with something like that, that's got a life expectancy of 2 to 10 years. It's pretty tough as a family and as a wife to not only hear the news, but also my husband's life's changed dramatically in the sense of he had to stop playing football. He's a lot more reliable on me and his mum and dad and my mum and dad. And I think our way of coping was to kind of set up a foundation. And for those that don't know about motor neuron disease, there's no cure as of yet. So the likes of the late Rob Burrows, the likes of Doddy Weir, they've set up their own foundations alongside Stephen and his old friend Chris Rimmer decided to set up their own one. And the idea of the foundation is to raise as much money to ultimately really fund research for this cure that we're all desperate for, but also to help families that are suffering the same thing. And that allows us to give grants to families that might need an extension to the house, they might need to change the way that they're living, wheelchairs, recliner chairs, just to have that little bit of help, because we've got a lot of support from our families and also the football community and also the sporting community now, but ultimately some people didn't have that. So I'm so proud of Stephen for setting up that, because it just shows the person that he is in terms of he's very selfless and he puts everybody else first still at this moment in time when he's unable to walk, he's in a wheelchair, and he relies on us to help look after him and care for him. But ultimately, like, his positivity is like, and his mental attitude is crazy. Pretty much what he was like as a footballer. So a lot of work goes into that, and it's raised well over £2 million so far. So I'm very proud of him.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And how far along has the research come over the years?
Especially the last few years, there's been a lot of like kind of research where we're feeling a little bit more hopeful. But as of yet, these trials take a lot of years to kind of because they are so underfunded. This is why we're trying to raise money, is that we can get the money to them quickly. We've donated well over $750,000 to research alone in certain projects, and I think that MND community is really special and everybody pulls together. And I think as well, not just that community, but the sporting community has definitely kind of rallied round and tried to kind of have that influence on trying to find that cure. But I think we feel as though we are close, but still there's no kind of, okay, if you take this drug, this will make it better. There's actually no kind of logical in terms of how was this caused. That is probably the biggest thing. I I think when you speak about other diseases, everybody knows how it's caused, whereas with motor neuron, there's actually no kind of, this is what triggers it off, because they haven't found that yet.
And did your husband start with symptoms during his career?
Yeah, so literally used to drive to Bradford and back to go and train, and I remember him phoning us on the way back and he said, Steph, my arm just fell off the wheel. And I was like, did you maybe get like a knock in your elbow? You know, when you get a bit of a funny elbow, your arm goes dead. And he's like, no, he says, it just feels a bit weird. And then as we went on, he had a little twitch in his tricep and it kept on twitching the whole time, and then it would move to his calf. So it probably took about 2 years to get all the tests and to really kind of nail down what it was. And at this time, he was still playing with all these symptoms, and I could just tell maybe towards the end of that, we got married in the June and he was about to go back to pre-season, and just knew his motivation wasn't there because he knew his body couldn't do it. And I think from that moment on, it was just like, this is not okay. It's not healthy for him to try and do this when we don't really know what's wrong. So when you get that diagnosis, you never ever want to hear that. But yeah, it was really tough.
Did you have to fight for to be heard around the symptoms though? Because, you know, so many people would have like a little twitch or a twitch here. And I suppose for your everyday person who's not a footballer or an athlete, to see a doctor and to be heard, I imagine it's quite hard at that stage.
Yeah, it's hard, but I think in terms of when you're in a sporting environment and you're at a football club, I think there's definitely a bit easier pathways to get appointments, to see neurologists, to get scans, and obviously that costs money, it costs the club money, but ultimately if it came down to it and we had to get a scan quicker, we would have paid for it ourselves because I think we just wanted them answers. But it still took over 2 years. No matter if you could get in quickly, the doctors still have to see how it progresses, and Stephen's progression is slow, so we're able to do quite a lot of things as a family and make a lot more memories. But ultimately, some of the families didn't have that opportunity and they needed answers quicker than what we needed them to have. But I think in terms of that sporting environment, it helped that we had really top professionals. Even now, if there's anything that ever goes wrong, I know that I can phone up a doctor at Man City and go, can you get us in? Can you get us a prescription? And we know that we're really fortunate that we can do that. But I think that was kind of the basis around the foundation, is that we know that we're quite fortunate in terms of what we have, not with the obviously diagnosis, but in terms of the support that we have. And the foundation allows us to support other families that potentially have them needs.
And raise awareness as well. You've got a fantastic, both of you, platform that you can speak about it on podcasts or wherever you are, just to really raise the awareness. And that's huge.
Yeah, I think it's massive. And I think that is Stephen, first and foremost, putting himself out there. We didn't have to go and tell our story, but neither did Rob Burrows, neither did Doddy Weir. And you've got the likes of Kevin Sinfields that's been absolutely amazing in terms of raising that awareness for motor neuron disease, not just for Rob, Stephen, Doddy, but absolutely everybody, and doing the challenges that he's had. And now Lindsay's doing marathons. Yeah. I've done a Great North run. So I think even though it is hard and it's really difficult day to day, I think when you have a profile and you have people that listen to you, it's so important that you use that in a positive way. And I feel as though, especially the families and the likes of Marcus Stewart, Louise Stewart, like we have all tried to put ourselves out there to help other people.
How did you feel when you found out, though, when Stephen got the diagnosis? I'm trying to put my mind there, and I can't even imagine like how you both must have felt.
I actually was away, Jess. So I was away with football. So Stephen was booked in for an appointment. We had Champions League away in Atletico Madrid with Manchester City, and it was the day that I travelled, and I said to Stephen, I was like, look, I can travel after this appointment. City, I'm not going to miss anything. I play the next day. Like, they know that I'll be fine doing that, and I would never normally do that, but this is important. He said, no, it'll be fine. Don't worry. You've got nothing to worry about. My mum and dad's going to go. And our agent went as well. And it was just weird because I was thinking, oh my God, he should ring us now because he should have been out at the appointment. Normally these appointments take 10, 15 minutes, and it was 2 hours later. And I was thinking, I've not had a phone call. And then literally one of the staff members at City was just like, Steph, Stephen wants to speak to you. I need you to take you over here. And I was like, this is not right. There's something going on here. And I think, I can't really remember the conversation, if I'm being honest. I think it took a while for Stephen to tell us. I think it was just dead silent on the phone. But I think you can't ever put them emotions in, because I think as an athlete as well, you're thinking, oh my God, what's next? What does this mean?
Yeah.
But obviously, most importantly, like, how is my husband?
Yeah.
And I think that thought of being away from him and not being able to give him a cuddle or tell him it's going to be okay, like, was probably the hardest moment of my life, because you feel wife guilt and you're thinking, oh my God, I've sacrificed that appointment to play in a Champions League football, which now in perspective doesn't mean anything. So that was hard. I was just like, get me on a flight home.
Yeah, but it's so hard, isn't it? Because you have to have, in a way, those things, awful things happen to give you perspective, don't they? And when you're in it and you're an athlete mind, you're driven, and so is Stephen. You know, he understood, but it's really, really hard to go through those moments. And how did he finding out?
I think he was obviously upset, because I think but then he was so driven to just try and sort the next few days out. I think he announced his retirement to everybody 3 or 4 days later, and then to everybody about him being diagnosed. Whereas I think we've spoke about this, obviously, in retrospect, I think it would have been better for us to maybe wait a few months and for us to kind of absorb the information, really kind of handle what it actually means. But I think that is Stephen in a nutshell. He wanted us to be positive. He wanted us to kind of live a normal life and kind of look forward. And he threw himself into the foundation and getting his retirement sorted, getting what that meant in terms of us as a family going forward. So I couldn't really, honestly, he's a superhero. And I think it's weird to say that of my husband, but I think he's just so driven. He's just everybody first. And you can see that, like, when everybody asks to raise money for his foundation, like, everybody's like, yes, we'll do it for Darbs. That's absolutely fine. We'll do it for him. And I think that just kind of says everything, to be honest.
Well, I think you're a superhero as well. Like,
I just like to be a little bit in the background, but I get pushed to the front a little bit. So, but
rightly so. Like, there was a quote that Phil Neville said. He put, "What she's going through is horrific, but you'd never know." And I think, like, you're not only supporting your husband, but you're dealing with all the emotion and everything that comes with it as well, and retiring. Like, there's so much going on. Like, how do you, like, day to day, stay super positive and just keep going?
You know why? I don't know, actually, to be honest. I think when I was in football, I think that gave me a release. I think me going in, training every day, being around a different group of people where, like, M&D isn't at the kind of, like, in front of my eyes. I think that gave me that release to be able to come back to the house. And when I was playing football, Stephen was able to be in the house by himself. He was able to walk. He could do his own food. So nothing much in that sense had changed, apart from the fact he didn't play anymore. So I think that was a good release for me. So I think since retiring, the time I retired and probably up until now has probably been our most challenging period, because we've had lots of change.
Yeah.
I think there's some, like, couples that have had change in the first 6 months, and then they've kind of been a bit more stable, whereas we had stability. We were able to do things that we could do normally, go on holidays a couple, go to parties, whatever that might be. But now it's like Stephen has to have a wheelchair now. We had to have a stair lift fitted. We had to have a feeding tube fitted for him, just because his muscles in his neck stopped him from swallowing as effectively. So that's all happened within the space of 6 to 7 months, and I've retired as well.
Yeah.
So, like, the big changes in the sense of, I don't know what you were like when you retired, but I think the routine and the scheduling really is kind of, I don't know, it's been different and hard for me to not have that kind of constant routine.
I think, like, for any athlete, it's so hard, isn't it? Like, retirement is just, it's this unknown space where you don't allow yourself to think about too much, because you're so in the moment of performing and you don't want to take your eye off the ball. But actually, then when retirement comes, it comes with, like, a wave of emotions. And it's kind of like, it is like a loss of identity as well, isn't it? Because you're known for this thing that you've done, like, your whole life, and it encompasses your whole life. And now you're on a completely different path. And then coupling that with everything that you're going through as a family, like, they are big, like, life moments.
I think that's why this has been quite difficult. I think, obviously, he's a lot more dependent on me. He's a lot more dependent on his mum and dad and my family. And I think as athletes and as people, you don't want to rely on anybody. You want to be kind of independent. And the fact that his independence is being taken away from him is quite tough to see. But ultimately, the way that he is and the character that he shows, it makes it quite easy for us, because he's not comfortable is maybe not the right word, but he knows the situation and he knows like we are doing our best to try and look after him as much as possible. And we do that, but he's an absolute, honestly, he makes it easy for us in the sense of he never complains. I've never ever heard him moan once. Wow. And like, this is someone that's had so much taken away from him. And I think that's just a character in himself that he's been able to do that.
On this podcast, I'm always inspired by people pushing themselves to the new heights. And that same spirit comes through in David M. Robinson's latest collection. Each design captures a different side of life. And at the heart of them all is the same promise: stylish jewellery, crafted to the very highest standards, with a level of detail that makes every piece feel truly special. From day-to-day pieces to iconic collections to bespoke items, DMR has something for everyone. Alongside jewellery, DMR are also retailers of leading luxury watch brands, so it's a perfect place to mark life's milestones. Discover the piece that could mark your own golden moment. Just head to the link in the description. Dream it, make it, love it.
I think, like, just to touch on what you said about retirement, I think that identity piece it's massive. I think you're so used to, probably everybody's life is revolved around my games or my training or when I can go on holiday. Everybody kind of fits their schedule around that. And you find that a bit weird that, like, you don't really see your family as much because they're not coming to my games. And like, okay, Steph, what are your fixtures so we can plan this, this and this? And I think obviously then you go into a different line of work and you're constantly thinking, am I doing this okay? Is this what I really enjoy? Because it can never replace what you had in your sport and what you've done for so long and since I've been a little girl.
It's kind of like, I've said it before, but it's kind of like you peak so young, don't you?
Yeah,
like,
it's crazy.
The highlight of your life is like in your 20s or early 30s, and then it's like the rest of the world is open, and what do you do next?
You actually have to be a proper adult and like do life admin and stuff like that.
Exactly, yeah. So I've asked you to bring in some items, and if we touch on your first item first, it's around advice that you would give or that you think other people should have, and a little bit about your journey. Do you want to explain a little bit more about what you've written down?
Yeah, my quote is, it's just about the journey. And I think this kind of relates to when I was 17 and basically I was selected for the World Cup to go to China in 2007, and I would have been the youngest player to go there. And we got given a really tough training program. We had 7 weeks to build up. And because I was young and hadn't really developed as much as obviously the players like Kelly Smith, Faye White, Farrah Williams, obviously got put into the gym quite a lot to make my legs stronger, to make me quicker. And I remember 2 days before we were about to fly out, I was in the gym and I was doing, the racing hurdles. We were doing like plyos over them, and it'd been a long 6 weeks of training, and it was my last session. I was like, okay, Steph, just get this done. And like, literally it was 3 sets of 6 and I was done for the day. And I remember my second set, I literally caught the top of the hurdle, and as I've landed, I've like rolled my ankle. Oh. And obviously from that moment, I'm thinking, oh my God, this is bad, because you just know when it's bad, don't you, as an athlete. Mm. And long story short, I broke my leg, so I was going to miss the World Cup. And I remember going back into the gates at English Institute of Sport where I was going to do my rehab, and one of the coaches was just like, you're disappointed, aren't you? And I was like, well, yeah, I'm going to miss a World Cup and it's live on BBC. I'm watching the girls do what I should be doing, and I was so lucky to be going in that squad. I never expected to do it, but once you get given that opportunity, you're like, oh my God, this is going to be amazing to go to a World Cup, of all I've ever dreamed of. And he was just like, this is just a part of your journey.
Yeah.
And everybody's journey is really different, and nobody can really predict your journey. And you've had amazing highs so far, but this is a low point. And he was like, in this rehab, all we need to do is see the positives rather than the negatives. Yeah, you can't walk, but yeah, we can go and do a really good session in the gym where you're going to get stronger. You're going to use this 6-7 weeks to be a better player. And I just think it's important, because I think everybody sees people who are high profile and at the really top of the game, that journey is just plain sailing and it's really smooth. But no, there's a lot of bumps along the way and some things that probably people don't know about. But I think as athletes, them emotions that we spoke about before, you do have the highest of highs, but you also have the lowest of lows. And it's kind of that acceptance. I think that's what I'm trying to say. It's that you can't really compare yourself to someone because everything's so different.
And I think for like young kids as well, young girls in particular, it's really hard not to do that, isn't it?
Yeah.
In a world where you're constantly comparing yourself against your friends, and you do have this idea that actually things happen really instantly, and that you decide to do a sport or whatever you take up and you just get good at it and success keeps going in the right direction. But, you know, so much of that time it's a bumpy journey, like you say. It's my coach used to say, you take 2 steps forwards and 3 back.
It is like, it does feel like that, doesn't it? Yeah.
But I think that's such a encouraging message and piece of advice that it's just so simple, but so many kids, they don't see it.
No, and I think as well, like the time that we were probably growing up as athletes, obviously there was limited social media.
Yeah.
You're literally seeing what's in the papers or what's on TV. So it's quite black and white in that sense. Whereas now, like social media, it's dangerous. Like it's dangerous, but it's also positive in the same way if you're following the right people and you're really understanding what they're doing as people. But I think sometimes you can see a picture and be like, oh my God, like, I want to be like them. But actually, are sometimes them people happy? Are they actually happy at what they do? Have they told you the story they've done to get to that position? It's sometimes it kind of creates a bit of a fake narrative. And
yeah, completely.
Yeah, and I think I see the young girls in the academy now and they come in with a nice bright boots and like they're on TikTok and they're doing all these freestyle things and I absolutely love it. And I'm just like, you know that this is all good stuff. Yeah. Like you've got to be open-minded. You've got to understand that from one day you might feel a bit different to the next day. And it's like that understanding of how you feel, but also that this is just the world that we live in, and sport is just, crazy at times. Yeah,
I think that you do, like, you look at social media and, you know, young girls will look at the Lionesses and the likes of you and be like, wow, it's just such an amazing life.
Yeah.
And it is amazing, but there is so much that comes before that. There's so many battles, there's so many failures, there's so much doubt. And going on to your piece of advice, I've got a little bit of advice here.
Okay.
I bumped into Baroness Sue Campbell.
Yeah.
And she has written down a little bit of advice that she would, or a message that she would say to you.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear it?
Yeah, go on.
She says, believe in your ability to create change.
Yeah, I like that.
Does that resonate?
Yeah, it does, to be honest, because I think obviously Baroness Sue Campbell is a really strong woman in the sense of not just in a football terms, but what she has done for women's sport and changing people's perspective and changing opportunities for young girls now. And I think we work together a lot to be able to create that change. And I think the place that I was when I was England captain, when I was working with Sue, was we had to make the change to make it so these young girls can actually believe to be a Lioness or believe that they become a professional footballer. And that takes a lot of hard work, but also you have to take the chance. And you have to do it in a way where it becomes respectable, but it's strong and it's powerful, and you get into people's minds that this is worth taking the chance on. So yeah, I like that.
Did you always believe that you had the ability to do it?
No, I never always believed it. No way. I think you don't ever grow up in a sport to be able to go, actually, I can make change today. But I think you see my peers in the sense of really big leaders that I really looked up to, like Sif Kelly Smith and Faye White, and you watch them in training every single day, but you watch how they are as people. And Kelly and Faye were total different personalities. Kelly was very quiet off the pitch, but when she came on the pitch, she was an absolute monster in the sense of she was winning and she was driving people forward with her performances, whereas Faye had that on the pitch, but also off the pitch she just had a presence. Yeah. You knew she was the captain. It probably helped that she was 6 foot and she had really bandy legs, but ultimately I think her presence around me as a young player, she really influenced me on the Olympics, on that journey, that in terms of after that happened, she was really there for me to kind of guide me in a certain direction. And I think that helped me notice that you can actually be a certain way with people and also create change for not just personally, but also for the sport in general.
Do you think those people and others have shaped you as a leader, though? Because I think often, you know, as a young teenager, it's who you kind of brush shoulders with, whether that's, you know, a rival or, you know, a training partner or someone that you spend chunks of time with, but you absorb their energy and the way they do it, and you can take little bits from other people. And I think that's really powerful. Have you found that shaping your leadership style?
Yeah, massively. And it was actually funny the day I was coaching the under-14s at City, and there's a girl called Brooke, and I hope she actually watches this, to be honest, because she said to us, what can I do to be England captain? And I'm thinking, right, okay, what do you think you bring as a captain? And she was just like, I can communicate and I can lead by example. And I was like, there's no perfect way to be a leader. Yeah. Everybody does it really differently. And I think I said to her, I was like, you need to be a bit of a sponge and you need to really absorb every bit of information. I think that was the biggest thing I did when I was 16, 17 in an England setup where I had Hope Powell as my manager, who is an absolute legend of the game. And I had Mo Marley as my youth manager. And they are female legends where you're thinking, okay, like I'm so lucky to be in their presence at this moment in time. That's how I felt as a youngster, because I never thought I'd have that opportunity. And I think to be a leader, you have to be able to kind of change a little bit as you're growing up, and you have to be able to kind of maybe try something to maybe fail and then kind of build on your strength. And I knew that my strength was always leading by example and doing the right things and being professional, but my communication need to get better. Faye was really good at that. Being able to stand up when we knew it wasn't right. Kelly was really good at that. Rachel Yankee was really good at that. So I think once you see someone live it and do it every single day, I think for young players and young athletes, young footballers, you just have to really kind of make sure you're listening. And there's reasons why people do certain stuff, and that can bring you success as a team going forward.
I think as a young athlete, you often don't know how much power you have as well. I think you feel that you've not got that much influence, and it's actually those people that are instilling that belief that actually you can create massive change with what you're doing on the pitch or the field or wherever it might be. Do you think you were always a natural leader though, like as a kid, like growing up in Sunderland, you know, taking up football for the first time? Like if you were back then, there now, and someone said, right, you're going to be this incredible leader and have this amazing, successful career as a Lioness, would you believe them?
I probably wouldn't have believed I was ever going to be England captain, because I never ever thought that I would ever become that. But I always, when I was younger, like when I played on my girls' football teams or the school team, I was always wanting to have the captain's armband. And I don't know, I just love the fact that, and it's just an emotional thing. I love the fact that you could probably drag your team over the line and you're able to kind of pick everybody up and use your energy to bring people forward. And I think that comes from watching the likes of like David Beckham and Steven Gerrard, because I mean, David Beckham, like I absolutely loved him as a player. He wasn't bad looking either, so he's all right. He's a bit average, but in all seriousness, like that England v Greece game, he was wearing the captain's armband, and he like single-handedly got us to a World Cup. And I think that like kind of drives you on as a kind of like, okay, I could maybe do that. And you've got Gerrard that would just be running absolutely everywhere just to influence the game and lead by example, show passion, show heart for Liverpool or for England. And I think when you see that, you get a feeling you want to be like that. So I think I've always had that in us, the other stuff that goes around the pitch that took time to learn. And I still feel as though I'm still learning now. I go into, whether it's BBC, I go into Manchester City, and you're always kind of watching like the heads of departments or people that are producing shows, and you're trying to learn a little bit how they communicate with people. So leadership's great, but you always have to kind of develop yourself as well.
I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned doing this podcast, but also experiencing, you know, sport myself, that you're right, like you have to keep learning, whether you're a coach, whether you're in the production team or you're a chef or whatever it is, you've got to listen, haven't you? You've got to learn, and you've got to develop your skills further. What was it like though, as a young kid? I know you went through like the England youth camps. Was there a moment where you thought, you know, I'm a bit better than the rest, or I've got something special here that I can kind of harness?
It was quite interesting. So at my primary school, we didn't have a girls' team, but when we played at school, I used to run on the top yard, and we used to play five-a-side. Now you always used to get picked to go and play. Yeah. And then they decided to make a school team, but it was obviously mixed. And that moment I started my first game in a mixed game, I was like, all right, I've got a bit of a point to prove here because I'm the only girl playing. And I think when you get that feeling and then you maybe go and score 2 or 3 goals, I think you see the appreciation of the boys. And from then on, I think that feeling of like, okay, no matter if I am a girl playing football, and at that time it wasn't really recognised as much as it is now. And the pressure was on to perform. And I quite like that pressure, that little bit of like, okay, I will prove that I should be playing instead of your son. And I think from that moment, I knew I had something a little bit special. And from like next few months, I was getting scouted for Sunderland. The women's game was growing, and I think it was always going to be football. I played different sports. I had a chance to play cricket. I used to do taekwondo. But I think when it comes to football, like it never gave us the feeling as the other two.
The passion was there. Mm-hmm. Did you ever find it hard though? Like you say, you just touched on there with like other parents and other kids, like being a girl and obviously being better than a lot of the other boys. Did you ever get stick from the parents? Or because I know football can be quite intense on the sidelines and on the pitch. Like was ever tricky moments there?
I think there was a few snide remarks, but I don't know whether I ever heard them. And I think it was only recently when I was doing my autobiography, I was speaking to my mum and dad about it, and I was just like, did you hear anything? And they were like, oh yeah, Steph, loads. Like there was always some people saying, why is she playing? What's she doing instead of my son? And I think for them to be able to handle that as well and not like kind of let it affect me is impressive from both my parents, because I think they're able to keep a lot of things from you. And I think if they'd have let me know, would that have stopped us in my journey? Potentially, because I like to be liked and I like to be admired by people. But ultimately, I think I was so focused on wanting to achieve something and playing football that I don't think it really would let us stop the journey,
Did you see a career in football, though, at that age? Like, what age were you when you actually thought, you know, could I do this as a future? Because back then, there wasn't many opportunities. The women's football team wasn't like seen. Like you just didn't see them. Like how hard was it to envision a career?
It was hard, to be honest. I knew that football was going to be part of my life, but I also always just thought it was going to be a hobby. I think for me to be selected for Sunderland, my hometown team, and to be able to play a first team level and wear them red and white stripes at the age of 13 was unbelievable. I think it's probably when I moved to Loughborough University as part of the FA Development Centre that I thought central contracts started to get introduced, in the sense of we were being paid to train and to train full time. And I think then I was like, right, okay, wonder which way this is going to go, because it was either going to be really successful because they'd invested money into the women's game, and we potentially went to a Euro final when they got introduced. So that kind of showed that the money that we're investing was probably going to produce success. And from then on, I was like, right, okay, just stay in it, Steph. Just try and stay, be at the highest level, do everything right in training, because even though I was doing a university degree, I knew that potentially I could have that in the background. But when I was at school, I wanted to be a PE teacher. So all I wanted to do was sport, and that was the only thing thought I could be, to be involved in doing stuff every single day and not sitting behind a desk. So the dream when I was younger was just to have a good job, because that's what my mum and dad taught us to be. But to be a professional footballer, never at the age of 9 or 10, never.
And then how was the juggle though? Obviously at uni, and like you say, you wanted the studying as a backup plan, but football was just all you wanted to do. How did you juggle everything else around, you know, being an athlete?
It was hard. I think, to be fair to the FA and to England and obviously Loughborough University, they made our schedule work. And of course, say if we go to Under-20s World Cup and we're away for 4 or 5 weeks, then you've got a lot of work to catch up. So there was kind of different exam dates that we might have. We might have a bit more work to do when we got back, but we were able to manage that. And to be able to do that, we had to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, do our weights, to be able to then go to university to do our studies, go lecture, then train again on the afternoon. And it was a lot. But to be honest, I think when you know that's probably the only option that you have to get the best of both worlds, you just kind of, as an athlete, you just go, okay, this is what I've got to do. And also you're around athletes that are doing the same. Like training for big competitions at the same age. They're going up to High Pack at Loughborough, and they're doing their sprinting drills, whatever that might be. So you're around athletes that are in the same position. It wasn't just because we were footballers. You're seeing, you get motivated by people every single day. Yeah,
because it's very similar to athletics at that stage, really, isn't it? Until you've won a big global medal, then you just scrambling around to get funding and sponsorship, and you're juggling everything. But though I suppose in athletics, as a female athlete, I'd look at the male athletes and I'd be like, well, you're doing the same. We're all scrambling around, we're juggling, we're trying to get to the top. But for you, there's, you know, the boys' side, the men's side, and you're doing everything you can do and juggling, but there's just opportunity here. Like, how frustrating was that? Or did you try not to think about it?
I think when I was going through that, I was obviously quite young. So for me, I was just like, oh my God, I'm getting to play for England.
Yeah.
I'm getting a little bit of money. I'm able to pay for my petrol instead of relying on my dad. Like, them little things were a massive win to us. And I can honestly say that group of girls that got them contracts have never been so grateful. Like, we knew we were a very humble group, and we knew that we'd worked hard to get there, but the hard work was just starting. And I think we never took that for granted. We performed and we trained as hard as we possibly could because we felt so lucky that we got that. So I don't think at that moment we were looking at the men's players and having a bit of jealousy or a bit being envious of them. I think it was more when we were being as successful as them. It was probably around that 2015 World Cup, 2019, obviously the girls winning the Euros in 2022. I think that's when the conversation started to change because you're filling stadiums, you're having commercial partners that are coming in to try and put you on a bottle or whatever that might be. And I think that's when you're thinking, oh my God. And as a captain at that time, I'm like, okay, this is not, you're not wanting parity, but you're wanting some sort of level of respect to be kind of, and I suppose you kind of seen that in your athletic career in terms of no matter whether it was you or somebody else, like because you'd won medals, then you're like, okay, like we're the same.
Yeah.
Whereas it never really felt like that in football.
Yeah. It's that difference. I suppose the kind of the grounding that you have had, and I mean, in a way, it's great that you're just so thankful to have a contract and be able to do what you wanted to do and play for England. But then there's part of you that looks back and think, but should I have been like wanting, like asking for more? Like, shouldn't they have been giving me more? Like, I suppose it's the way it is, and it has been for a long time, but it's still, there must still be that level of annoyance when you look at the gender pay gap.
It is annoying. And I think at that time when I was at that age, I think we didn't expect anything because we'd never had anything before.
Yeah,
whereas now I look at the new players coming in and they've seen what is possible.
Yeah.
And also, these young players are a little bit braver.
Yeah.
To kind of come out and be like, okay, no, we want that. And I think when, towards the end of my captaincy for England, I think them young players really drove me to have them challenging conversations and to be like, okay, actually, that's not okay. Even though we're in a really good position, the game's grown so quick over a short amount of time that we needed to kind of put things in place quicker rather than wait the next 4 or 5 years because we would have missed the opportunity. So I'm glad in a one way that I was the way that I was, and coming from a northeast, from a village that didn't have anything or whatever, like for me, I was always grateful. But from a sporting sense and like a legacy piece, them conversations were vital, and I'm so glad I was part of them and still are going forward.
What do you think are the practical steps though that football organisations and sponsors and fans need to do to create real change?
For the fans, I think when we fill stadiums, that's so important. I think to be able to come and support whatever team you support, the Lionesses, to fill out stadiums, that alternately creates revenue for business to be actually, we'll invest in this game, we'll invest in these athletes because we know we're going to get that return. But also, I think the more that we're out there, the more that we're on TV and the more that we are supported the way that we are, of course, success is going to come with that. Without that support and that investment off the pitch, you can't guarantee that. And obviously in sport, you can't really guarantee everything that is going to be successful, but you're giving yourself a great chance to be able to do that. So for me, I think it's absolutely everybody. It's not just the players. The players have got to really buy into what they're trying to do on the pitch, in the gym, off the pitch, to better themselves, to become the best that they can be. But also, you have to bring success. And by doing that is everybody included. It's like the team around the team needs to be kind of really 100% committed to really achieving the goal that we want to do, which is to make this game even greater than what it is now.
And when you think about the gender pay gap, though, has it affected you personally throughout your career? And has it affected your teammates, or is it something that you just...
I mean, it would be a bit nicer if it came a bit earlier because you can kind of get a mortgage for a house, you can put a bigger deposit down. And I think when I moved to Arsenal, I was going to a semi-professional club, and that was the the main club in England that you could go and win trophies. You're playing with the best players. And for me, from a professional point of view, I was like, I wanted to better myself as an individual, but also try and build a little bit of pot of money and to kind of build for the future. But still then you're just grateful for being at the club. But ultimately I had to move from London because I wanted to go and buy my own house. I was never going to be able to do that in London with the prices and obviously how you live down there. So I think for me it has affected us, but I would never change anything, not in a million years. But I think now there's young girls that have got the opportunity to probably do that a lot earlier than what I did, which is fantastic.
Do you think that's changing though? Do you think that gap is getting smaller?
Yeah, because I think I see young girls turn up in Mercedes, BMWs at the age of 17, 18, and I turned up with an N-Reg Clio in my first training session. Didn't have no heating, didn't have no power steering. So, but yeah, I mean, for me, I'm not envious of that whatsoever. We've all worked so hard, and there's athletes like yourself that have kind of put women's athletes on the map in the sense of, okay, like we can be as successful as the men, and we still have bigger conversations to have in terms of how we kind of grow our league. How do we make it better? Do we make it more competitive? But also to produce the next generation of England players and to keep providing success over the next few tournaments.
Do you think social media has had a big play in helping to raise the profile of women's football?
Yeah. I can remember just in terms of when we did Olympics 2012.
Yeah.
I think Twitter was just kind of like getting involved, and I think just even from them moments, like them little reach outs, their little kind of putting your face and your name into a different kind of space rather than newspaper. But Instagram, TikTok, whatever it might be, is so powerful now.
Is it easier to attract sponsors though at an earlier stage for female footballers?
Definitely. I see some young girls, academy girls, that are getting Nike deals, Adidas deals, because they're good at freestyling, or they're putting out what they've done, or how many they've scored in the last game, or how many they've assisted. And it can be quite powerful, but I think I'm a bit sceptical of the social media in terms of an athlete, because I think some things do get clouded. But from an endorsement point of view, of course, it becomes more attractive to whoever's going to kind of sponsor you.
Yeah, I think we're probably like a similar mind, because we've been through our career at a slightly different time where I can't imagine what 2012 would have been like. With like Instagram, like it would have been completely different, wouldn't it?
Crazy. I think now you look at obviously the last Olympics, and you're out there in the open. People know a lot more about every athlete. It's not just the ones that have won potentially a medal or whatever. So it's so crazy, but hopefully it can still continue to be a positive thing. Yeah,
absolutely. If you're looking ahead though, like 5 or 10 years time, and you look at real equality, what does that look like for you in football?
Well, if we say inequality, I think it's the same structures, same support, same processes that we have around the men's game. It mirrors the women's game. For me, I think you see at different clubs, you see the support network that maybe a men's first team has in comparison to numbers of staff in women. It's totally different, and still you're dealing with the same number of squad sizes. You're 22 to 26, and the men generate a lot more revenue, but because we are now trying to close that gap in the sense of the perspective of women's football and women's athlete has changed, and if we can close that gap, that'd be absolutely great. But I think, like what you said, equality is what we should be striving for, and it might happen in a different way to what men's do, but at the same time, why not?
I think when you touched on there, the kind of the difference, like the physiological difference of men and women athletes, I kind of only realised the depth of that once I retired, like how much your biology as a woman has an effect on your performance. So whether that's like injuries and, your hormones, that kind of thing. When I was an athlete, it really never got like talked about and really understood. Is that something that you've seen change a lot through the latter part of your career?
I think it was around 2019 World Cup and the next Olympics. There was a big talk on menstrual cycles and kind of us understanding our own bodies as athletes, and that I think you just see it as, okay, like I'm on my period, and you just write off that 7 days and you feel a bit rubbish or you feel a bit lethargic, but actually there's ways and means of trying to kind of use that is an advantage, and whether it was through a different smoothie or being prepared with the physio and actually acknowledging and talking about it, probably put more of a positive spin on it rather than actually the negative connotations that we've been probably so used to. So I think that is massive in the sense of, because high profile coaching staff, high profile athletes are actually talking about it. It's not so much of a taboo subject anymore. And I think for females, I think it becomes easier for young girls now to be able to be a bit more open about it, because God, I had mates that never wanted to do PE because they're on the period, whereas now it's probably not seen as an excuse. You could just get on with it and you can kind of still do the things that you want to do. So I think it's amazing because it is totally different to a male body in the sense of we go through a lot more in
lots of fluctuations.
Exactly. So I think the research that's been has been amazing. I think if you really want to understand your body, that research is important, and to have them highly qualified people around you is super important in terms of preparing for the next game.
And recovery as well, I suppose, like the way you recover as an athlete, and just the strategies that you can put in place to be a better athlete. I want to move on to your golden moment though.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit about your golden moment?
So I put 2 down. Obviously I brought my 2015 bronze medal. It's not gold, which we were disappointed not to get gold, but ultimately where we were as a Lioness team, the journey that we'd been on and the expectation going in that tournament to come away with a bronze medal was, one of the highlights of my career. I think more just in terms of I had a great tournament myself individually. The team had a great tournament, and to be part of that and to play every 3 or 4 days in 30 degrees heat on a 3G surface was tough. And I think for me, it was more the fact that nobody expected us to go and perform.
Yeah.
But also the lasting legacy that tournament had on women's football is why I brought that medal in, because of course I wanted it to be gold because I'm a winner. But ultimately, like that day, we flew back from Canada. 2 or 3 days later, I had to go and play for Manchester City, and that's the first time I'd noticed anybody with my name on the back of their shirts walking to the ground.
What a moment that must have been.
So I think I said in my book, I said that from then on, I walked that way. I mean, I drove that way every single time because it was just a bit of a pinch me moment, because you normally used to seeing Kevin De Bruyne or David Beckham or Steven Gerrard on the back of a little boy's shirt, never mind a female player. So for me, that lasting legacy of what we did to kind of get the country really engrossed into England women's football was, super special. And I didn't have anything to show for the 2012 Olympics, but from a personal point of view, that was probably my golden moment in the sense of to be at Olympics where you won gold that Super Saturday and to be part of that Team GB team, and also to score 3 goals, play against Brazil at Wembley and in front of the biggest ever crowd was, that tournament was just a blur.
I know, for me as well.
I was going to say, just think, oh my God, we were there, but I don't really know what I was doing. I was just there,
just like living in the moment. But I think that really says a lot about your message. It goes back to your advice again, that, you often think that those golden moments are like gold and that they're you're right at the top, but actually it's the moments like that, aren't they? That have so much meaning and the journey it took to get to that point, and the whole moment itself.
I think as a team as well, I remember the manager really stating at the beginning of the tournament, was like, we need to affect young girls, we need to affect people's mentality around us. And it was about performance. Yeah, of course, you want to go and win football matches. And to be honest, we didn't really play that well the group games. We really kind of got ourselves through the group to go to the last 16, and we're getting beaten that last 16 game. So in terms of that journey that we're talking about, it wasn't really smooth sailing to a bronze medal. We massively fluctuated. We were a new team. My first tournament as a captain, and I think to come back and know that we'd kind of had people staying up till 3 o'clock in the morning to watch us play was, when you're hearing that and you're in a bit of a tournament bubble, you'll know what that's like. You just don't really know what's going on the outside well because you're so focused. But to hear that everybody was really watching us and wanting us to do well I feel as though we started to change minds then.
And to become the captain for the first time as well. How was that? Were you nervous? Does it add like a layer of pressure? I feel like...
Can I swear on here or not? I was shitting it, to be honest, You know what? No, I never in a million years ever expected to be a leader of my country, and to be given the armband at 26 by Mark Sampson. Dreams come true. I never had that dream, but I think when you actually get told that and you're like, okay, you are going to lead this team for a number of years. I just said, are you joking? Like, you're winding me up here. There's older players, there's more experienced players that you could give that armband to. But I think for me, the armband weighed heavy in my first 6 months. I think I found it really tough. I think my performances weren't great because...
Did you feel like you had to change?
I tried to change, yeah. And I don't know why I tried to do that, because I think maybe that expectation that people didn't expect it to be me. And I think I felt pressure from them senior pros that probably were more deserving of the armband because of what they'd done in their career so far for England. And I think I put extra pressure on myself.
But that doesn't make a great captain, does it?
No,
just because of what you've achieved. Like, there's so many qualities that you have to have.
And in the lead up to that, I was actually Arsenal captain.
Yeah.
And I was an Arsenal captain at a young age, and I went to Manchester City. I was captain then. So I had strengths that was probably you could see from a day-to-day basis, but to be captain of England's a totally different thing. So I'm not going to lie, them 6 months I didn't really enjoy the captaincy because I used a lot of energy trying to be someone that I wasn't. And I think that's when I started speaking to a psychologist, and well, he started speaking to me. I got forced into the situation, which I would never, ever change in a million years. I think to have them tough conversations and really strip back what a leader is and what I see myself as a leader was probably the most important conversation that I've had, because it allowed me to be free and to be myself again. And I think that led up to the 2015, the 2017, 2019 World Cup. I build on performances, but also trying to be a better leader every single day.
What was the most important thing that the psychologist communicated to you? Was it just being able to express yourself in a safe environment, or was it just did he or she give you a few pieces of really important advice?
He just kind of broke it really down. It was just okay, what are your strengths as a leader? What do you really see yourself doing? And I always felt like I did lead by example, whether that was on the pitch or doing the extras in the gym, being there really early because I'm a bit of a geek like that. But that was my way of preparing, and I think kind of leading the way by example. So he was just okay, that is what you're very good at. You're very good at being positive and bringing energy. So if you can really concentrate on them 2 or 3 things, then and you bring them every day, the other stuff will come and surely. But it did come slowly. But I think that was because I got a little bit more confidence. I was doing that in my performances. So I think you feel as though you're worthy of wearing the armband. And it's such a big thing about an England captaincy, whether you're male or female, there's so much extra pressure and you're scrutinised even more. So I think to have him there, but also obviously the likes of Steve and my mum and dad, I think I was always going back to them with feedback of how they felt I was doing or how I was doing. And also your teammates. You had some really good teammates that were able to kind of help if needed, and in a leadership group that we could kind of share the jobs a little bit and share the weight a little bit. So that really helped.
How was that though? Because I found it really hard to imagine being in that intense team environment. Obviously I would have a team around me, but not whenever I went out to compete, it was just on me. And if I made mistakes, it's on me. If I got it right, it's on me. But I always think in that, really intense team football environment, how do you deal with personalities that are challenging, or deal with, everyone's got something going on in their life.
Someone else to do it.
Yeah. There's always something going on though, isn't there? There's problems at home, or, someone's just having a bad day. And how do you deal with all those different logistics?
It's hard, but I think first and foremost, you've got to treat them as humans. I think I never looked at the girls as just a footballer. I always feel as though they were always my mates or my friend. And I think, I know we spoke about perspective before, but I think that is important to have that a little bit in elite sport, because someone's behaviour isn't just because they want a behaviour like that. There's probably a certain reason, and it's just trying to know how you get that out of that person and how helpful you can be. And I think the biggest thing for me was about being consistent. I think for me as a person, even though it probably felt a bit rubbish some days, I think it's how you bring yourself and how you look to other people. And sometimes that can be hard, and only the people that really know you, like my best mate at football was Ellen White, and she knew if I was a bit annoyed, a bit frustrated with stuff, and she was always a good person to kind of lean on and bounce off because we roomed together. And I think she probably got a lot of the shit that a lot of people didn't see. But I think it's important that you know them people, that you can kind of air them frustrations, so that I don't air it on my teammate that I'm potentially frustrated about, or the manager, or whatever that might be. And I think for me in elite sport, consistency of behaviour is important, whether that's when you're trying to compete or you're trying to train. I think you've just got to bring it every single day. And I think that was big for me, being a leader and being able to manage people, because that's what you probably are doing most of the time.
Yeah, and the psychology behind that's pretty deep, really, isn't it? And I suppose you learned so much over the years.
Yeah, I did, because there was some fascinating characters. You have people that are really stubborn, really kind of, then you have people that they potentially didn't look as though they cared as much, but they really do. And I think for me, it's just trying to not judge people as much and to get to know them. And ultimately it comes down to performance on the pitch. And I think if we're all performing, you can't really say anything about different behaviours, because they're doing everything what it takes to make England win or the team win. And it did take a while to get to that point, but I think having them conversations and concentrating on me a little bit as well, and not really focusing on that as much. I think I had to get me right before I could actually go and help everybody. So for me to get used to that armband, to get used to that way of leading, but also working with different people was super important.
How did you find those big moments though, when you were, in the changing rooms about to go out for those finals? Like, how did you deliver? Did you do a big speech? Take me through that setup.
I can always remember, I'm always quite a good speaker, but I actually got put into got taken out of my comfort zone basically in the World Cup in 2015. And before every game, I had to stand up in front of 25 girls, 30 members of staff, and deliver like a speech before we got on the bus towards the ground.
Wow, that would be my worst
Jess,
nightmare.
Honestly. And I can remember my whole pre-match routine was more worried about what I'm going to say in this speech, to the point where I'm making notes, and I've got like books back at home where I've made notes of what I want to say. And I think for me, I didn't realise it then, but the manager was developing me as a leader, because I think that was a space that I wasn't really good at. And I think ultimately when you're in that kind of area, you've just got to do it. There's no other way, because if I don't do it, then they'll be like, what's going on? It's more embarrassing if I don't than I say something and I maybe mess it up. So ever since then, I think I'm probably good for speaking.
Yeah.
I think I like them motivational speeches, but I think that's because I was so used to it by different people, and I know that got the best out of me. And I think depending on the feel of the group, you're always kind of changing what you say. If you know that the warm-up's been brilliant, there's not much to say because you know the group's ready. If the warm-up's been a bit poor and you need to get a little bit more energy in, that kind of changes before you go out. But probably a bit old school. I don't think you see that too much in terms of leaders now. I think it's more just put the armband on and do what you do because that's what people admire. But that old school kind of...
You still got to say a few words, no?
You do though, don't you? And I think it's maybe said a bit different, but I think for me that was one of my strengths, and for somebody else it might be something different. And I think the more years I did it before finals and before big games, I think that made me think that I was prepared as well by doing that.
And are you all close? Like, obviously now you're retired. Do you keep in touch with all your teammates? Like, do you have WhatsApp groups? Like, are you all close?
Yeah, we are, to be honest. I think obviously being in and around Manchester City, I see all my old teammates off last year. So it's nice to see them have a smile on the face when they see us in the club, and doing a bit of coaching with them now. So it's nice to have that little bit of an influence on them as individuals in probably a different way. But like the likes of Jill Scott, Ellen White, like we're always speaking, we're always texting, we're always trying to catch up as much as possible. Obviously work a lot with Ellen at BBC. So Jill, I don't know where Jill will be. She's just so busy at the moment. But I think it's important that when you are in sport, that even though they are classed as your teammates, they're your mates. I've probably spent more with them too than I have with anybody else in the last 10 to 15 years. Chloe Kelly, Demi Stokes, like there are people where they are my true friends, and whatever happens, I know they'll be there regardless of what I did when I retired or what I did when I was playing football.
Do you look at the squad now and see any like individuals that could be great leaders, like you consider as being a leader or a captain, a future captain?
Well, obviously Leah Williams is the captain now, so I think she does a great job in the sense of she leads by example. She plays the way that she does. She's very driven and ambitious, and I could always see that in Leah when she was coming up in the senior team, that she had a bit of a presence about her, and she's developing every single season that I watch her play for Arsenal, for England, and she got back from injury this season to come back, and I think when you go through something like that, you become a bit different as a person. So I'm trying to think of young players. I think Lauren Hemp always leads by example in terms of with her play. She's super quick. She loves to win, and I could see her, I know that she'll probably not like me saying this, but I could see her being a captain and having to do them speeches and really having that presence. But I think you look at England players now and they have got so many opportunities to be great, and that's what we fought for so many years, and there's no excuses now in terms of your training, your intensity, the opportunities that you have to recover properly, the nutrition you get, the support around that.
Oh, it's exciting. It's so exciting. If we look at your final item, could you describe what
a bit of a dusty MBE, to be honest. I should have maybe wiped it, but MBE. Who would have ever thought? I know, I can't remember. I can't believe I even got one of them, to be honest.
Did you ever imagine? It's such a surreal thing, isn't it? You just think,
you don't even know what it means, do you? I don't know. You've got Dave or whatever. You know, it's just crazy. I think that whole. I mean, I didn't even nearly get it. Do you know that story, Jess?
No, tell me.
The letter got lost in the post. Did you get a letter for yours?
Yeah.
Well, I'd moved house.
Oh, no.
So me and Stephen had moved house, and I remember I went up home for the day, and me and my mum were shopping, and my agent kept ringing us, and I was like, what's he ringing us for? He says, I'm on my day off, and I'm shopping with my mum, and he knew it, and he was just like, you need to pick up your phone. So I picked up my phone, he was like, okay, you've got an hour to accept this MBE. And I went, what are you on about? He's like, I was like, did I get a letter? And he was like, well, supposedly you got a letter, but it never got delivered. I was like, Matt, I've not had no letter whatsoever. So the club were chasing Matthew. We were trying to get it. So I was like, well, yeah, of course, but what does it mean? He's like, I don't know, I'll tell you later. So I was just like, ring them back. But ultimately, I think to see that New Year's honours list and to be around so many amazing people was just, I don't know, just to see your name. And me and Farrah Williams got ours at the same time, and that was special to have it with her. And just the whole day. And I think when I think about bringing that in today, I think when I speak about journey and them individual moments, but I think when you get recognised for something like that, for services to women's football, I think that's when I think about my family and like all them sacrifices that they've made to allow me to do what I need to do, and but also all the people that have kind of helped and shaped my career, whether it's coaches, teammates, even the people behind the canteen at Manchester City that have really helped me and allowed me to be normal. I think when you go and collect your MBE, it's a surreal moment.
And it's not just the moment that you've, those high achieving moments within your career, it's the longevity. It's like the legacy, isn't it? Like you say, the services to football, the impact that you've had and that you're going to continue to have on so many people's lives that's a really special moment, isn't it?
Yeah, and I don't ever think of myself like that. And I don't think I ever will, but I think that coincided with us being successful at 2015 and we were starting to get recognised. And I think that's why that was such a pivotal moment in women's sport as well, because I think we all know that football is the most popular sport in this country. And I think if we could do that, then it allows the likes of cricket, hockey, netball, athletics a bit of a chance to, okay, well, this is what the women's football team's done. Like, we can now start to have them conversations. And I remember having conversations with people from cricket, from netball, like, how did you get to this stage? And I think once you start speaking to people, you kind of feed off each other's ideas, because ultimately we all want the same. I
think that cross-pollination between sports is so important, and it goes back to that just learning, absorbing everything. And I think over the past, 5 years, there's been such a huge change in the profile of women's sport. And it's not just, like you say, one sport, it's across a range of different sports, giving opportunity to girls who can fit in each one of those categories, which is something that, I've not seen for a very, very long time. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I do think like that. I think that, she's 7 now, and I want her to feel comfortable in, going to a cricket club or, taking up football and feeling that she can do anything within a sporting arena, and she has the opportunity. And it just really changes your, again, perspective on the world of sport.
Mm-hmm.
And who did you get your MBE from, though?
Princess Anne.
Ah.
Yeah.
And how was it? What did she say to you?
She called me Farah, so that wasn't great. That wasn't a great start, but what you're supposed to say, I was just like, all right,
did you correct her?
I was like, okay, Farah's just been before us, but that's all right, it's fine. I mean, what are you supposed to say? I was just so nervous about the curtsy.
I was so nervous about that.
Did you practice like in the room?
Before, but I didn't realise, because you can't turn your back, can you?
No.
So you have to like walk out and then like curtsy and then like back up.
I know, and I was in a pencil dress and I was thinking, oh my God, this could go horribly wrong. I had new heels. And I mean, she was lovely. I think she obviously knew what we'd done, what we'd achieved, which was amazing. But I think to get it off anyone from the royal family, I think just to even just get it was just,
was it at Buckingham Palace?
Yeah.
I mean, being in there is surreal, isn't it?
I know, you're just in, and I think like, took my grandma and my brother, my mum and dad and Stephen and my grandma. And my grandma has a tendency to kind of wander off, and I was thinking you can't really wander off in Buckingham Palace. So I was like to my dad, I was like, make sure she's with you, because I don't want her up next to me, next to Princess Anne. But I think for me, like it is just about the whole day. Like we made it like we stayed down the night before, all the family come, and I think even just the photos outside, I've still got them up in the house, and
I've got mine in our hallway.
Have you?
Yeah. Like as soon as everyone comes.
Which one?
Well, my damehood.
Yeah, I was going to say,
because I was actually pregnant with Liv, so she was maybe like 2 or 3 months or something.
Who was your damehood off?
So I got that from William.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And that was so cool.
Yeah.
But it's just
I bet you never expected that either, did you? No.
So when I got my CBE, I said to my husband, I was like, soak it up, because we're never coming back here. We'll never be invited back. And then ended up going back. It was, I just think it's such a special thing for like your family as well. It's like your daughter, your granddaughter, your family name. It's such a big moment.
And you forget that you've got them 3 letters after your name.
Yeah.
Like,
do you get any like upgrades?
I don't think so. You know what? I got a black card from Nando's, so I'll claim that.
But with your MBE?
Well, I think so. It was kind of coincided with both.
Man.
So that year was the best.
I need one.
We moved house, and that we just lived off Nando's for a week because everything was everywhere, and it was the best ever thing. But
that is the perk.
A bit of a perk. Yeah. We'll say that. Yeah.
I might try and get a Nando's card.
Maybe we can get one on here.
Yeah. Nando's black card. Anyone? Oh, it's been amazing chatting to you. I've got a few more questions though. Like, can I just ask you a little bit more about your life now? So you transitioned into retirement. Are you enjoying retirement?
I am.
You are?
Yeah. I think everybody said when I retired that you're going to miss it. You're going to want to go back. And I've only had that feeling maybe once or twice. And that's when I'm watching the big games in a Manchester derby, or when England are playing in Wembley. And I'm like, oh, I could enjoy that again. But I think when you get to a certain age and you've done it for so long, I think having that pressure off was just the best feeling. I think it's not just pressure when you hit a tournament or a match, it's every single day. And I think there's always a kind of a thing about when you hit 30 in football at the moment. And obviously I retired when I was 36. So like for 6 years, everybody's like, oh my God, 30-year-olds can't play 3 games in a week. 30-year-olds can't do this. They can't last this long. And I'm like, well, we can, because the sports science is better.
Yeah, it's moved on so much.
We have a lot more kind of availability in terms of physio, support, nutrition. And I was dedicated, so I knew that I could do that. And I'm playing in World Cups when I'm 32, 33 and playing every single game. So I think you're always trying to prove someone wrong. And I think that's what I felt throughout my career. So I think it just gets to the point when you retire, like, okay. But now you're into punditry.
It's another level of stress.
It's like another level of pressure, another level of stress and trying to impress. But I think when I retired, I didn't really know what route I wanted to go down. And I think this year has been interesting in the sense I've tried a lot of different things, and everything that I've done, I've really, really enjoyed. And you meet some cool people, and you get to have fun. So I'm really happy at the moment. I think it's just trying to find that balance, which I've probably overdone it a little bit considering, but that's something to take into next year and next season and try and assess and change. But ultimately, I know I'm so fortunate for what I do.
And what's next for you? Have you got any other projects or things that you want to try in retirement? Or are you pretty full at the moment?
I want to try and learn play golf. I think that's a thing that I want to do.
Have you played before?
I played a little bit when I played, but I actually want to try and get on the course a little bit more because I've got a bit more time. But ultimately, I think for me, I love doing my punditry stuff. I think maybe I've done a little bit of presenting, so it's new. You don't really get given what you should do, so it's kind of you're going on kind of what you think's right at that time. But I think just in that media space, try and explore that and hopefully complete my coaching badge at the end of the season, which would be nice to have. Maybe not go into it full time because I feel like I'll just be like a footballer again.
You'll be back to the same routine. Yeah. But I think there's loads of options there, which is the best place to be.
Very lucky, yeah.
Thank you so much.
No, thanks, Jess.
It's been so nice to chat to you properly and just hear more about your life and your career. I think you're incredible.
Thank you for having me.
Before you go though.
Okay.
I've got some quick fire questions.
Oh yeah, I'll listen to a few of these actually.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. When is your golden hour? The time of day that you feel like completely you?
Probably about 10 o'clock when I've had my coffee in the morning.
I need coffee too, all the time.
Yeah.
Who's been the golden influence on your life?
My mum and dad.
Good answer. Do you have a golden moment you completely messed up but you can laugh about?
Well, yeah, I missed a penalty in a semi-final in a World Cup, so that was pretty golden and it was terrible. So
can you laugh about that though now?
I know that England fans probably won't be laughing, but yeah, I mean now I'm like perspective, like it's not as if I tried to miss.
Oh man, they are the toughest moments in football. Yeah, aren't they? Absolutely brutal.
I know it was awful, but I'm just like, how many English players have missed a penalty?
And also the fact that everyone in the crowd is like, I could have done it. That must be like so frustrating.
I know.
People on the sofa, my husband
still
included.
Still say to this day, so yeah.
Oh, okay. What is your hidden gold? A talent or skill that people don't know you have?
I'm a black belt in Taekwondo.
Are you?
Yeah.
Show us some moves. No, I'm joking.
I couldn't. I think I'd do me up or something.
I love that. That's the best one. Okay. Okay, we've made this one specially for you. Who would be in your gold star all-female five-a-side team?
I would have Karen Bardsley in goal.
Yep.
I'd have Kelly Smith.
Yep.
Faye White in there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of midfielders now or a forward. I'll put Lauren Hemp.
Yeah.
And I'll put Jill Scott.
Nice. If you were going to go for people from different sports,
I just had to put five of you in, wouldn't I?
No, honestly, I'm terrible with the ball. I could like sprint down the line, but
okay, yeah, I'll put Jess in.
Yes.
I wouldn't put you in goal though.
No. Yeah, not goal.
Oh my God, this is hard. This.
All the sports.
I'd have to put Dame Kelly Holmes.
Yeah, she'd be epic.
Yeah, she can be a little bit endurance then, couldn't she? Yeah.
Good stamina.
I'm trying to think of some more females. I'd put Charlotte Edwards in there because I actually loved watching her play. Rebecca Adlington.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Love Rebecca.
I actually love watching her.
She's so cool.
And she's a really good pundit.
Yeah, she's amazing. Yeah. She's so knowledgeable, isn't she?
She is really good.
She's so good. And a lovely person.
I'll put in Ellen White.
Good.
Yeah.
Right. Let's get our boots on. Let's get ready to go.
Do some training, yeah.
I've got a bad knee, so. Oh, it's amazing. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. I love that.
Chatting to you.
Thank you.